Welcome to the Sabrina Show. I am your host, Sabrina. I've had the most engaging conversation with the lovely Gurjinder, the magnetic marketer. We spoke about quantum coaching. We spoke about how our children don't belong to us. We spoke about women supporting women. Such an engaging conversation. I hope you enjoy it. Welcome to the Sabrina Show. I am so excited to have you here. I feel like I already know you because I see you so often all over Instagram. I'm going to dive right into it. I want to know, what is this quantum coaching? What is this all about? Tell me all, spill all the tea, girl.
Oh, do you know what? I get asked that question so much. Maybe my content isn't good enough about it, but it's pretty much, it's to do with the universe and our souls and the reasons why we're actually here. And essentially, we're all, most of us anyway, are here on a mission. Yeah. And my job then as a quantum coach is to connect you with your mission here on earth. And that is it in a nutshell. Yeah. So it's really taking you back to that kind of soul space of yours,
right?
Wherever that might be, and really building on whatever it is you came here to do.
So you're doing this for others, but when did this click happen for you?
I think for me, it probably happened in my teens, to be honest.
Really?
I probably knew I was on this alternate path very, very early on, but I really got caught up in the world. I got caught up with studying, university, getting a job, getting married and all of that kind of stuff. And I think it really hit me probably a couple of years ago when certain women started gravitating towards me and certain people, certain businesses started gravitating towards me because they felt I had the answers to something. And I'm like, I'm not the person that you think I am.
Yeah.
But then it started really awakening and opening up lots of stuff in me, which led me to pursue it even more.
Yeah.
And find out what it all meant. And then I realized it was that quantum journey.
Yeah.
And now it feels like home to me. I feel like I've found my home base.
Yeah.
And I'm just supporting other women to do exactly the same.
So that coaching style, where does that come from? In terms of like, obviously it's soul led, because I know that you speak a lot of that. I want you to kind of go into depth a little bit of how does the quantum coaching differ from other coaching styles?
So quantum coaching actually connects you to the universe. It connects you to your soul. So you use tools and techniques. So a bit like other tools and techniques you might get in counseling or in therapy, quantum coaching has its own tools and techniques, which are more spiritual based, which are more mind based, soul based. So you do a lot of inner work and you do a lot of connection work to the universe. So if you're doing a meditation, you're not meditating to the sounds of the sea, you're meditating probably to the sounds of the sky and the sounds of the universe. So it's a very different modality and it really supports those mission-based businesses.
Yeah.
Probably a path that you're on as well, whether you realize it or not, but it's a very mission-based business that is that quantum business that needs that support on a very different level.
So what would be some of the techniques that you would use in like a coaching session?
So one of the techniques we use is connecting yourself to your soul star. So
tell me more about that.
We have all come from a soul. We've got a space that we've come from in the universe, especially these mission-based people. We've come from this specific place in the universe. Let's call it our soul star.
Right.
And one of the tools I use is a soul star activation, which activates your soul space and where you've come from. So every single day you connect yourself to wherever it is you've come from,
right,
and you remind yourself of why you're here. So we get carried away, right? Every day things happen.
Yeah.
Kids fall ill, parents fall ill, someone falls ill, we've got to go to school. We get so busy in our day-to-day that sometimes we forget about our mission and our purpose. So a technique like an activation into your soul space can really help you remind yourself on a daily basis of your mission, of your purpose, so that you can live in alignment with what it is you're here to do.
That sounds really fun, first of all, and so amazing and interesting. For a lot of people that may be listening into this, I know that there's this like misconception that it could be a little bit woo-woo. Oh my God, what's that? Maybe it's the fear that some people have that's different. What's some common misconceptions that people have with quantum coaching?
There are so many. And because it is really, really woo, and there's a lot of people that want evidence. What's the evidence? Yeah. Where's the evidence that I came from this space in the universe?
Yeah.
Where's the evidence of this? And a lot of people want evidence. And to be fair, I'm actually a very logical, scientific person. It's something that I would probably ask for myself. And you either believe or you don't.
Yeah.
And it's either your thing or it's not. And either way, it's okay. And you will know whether it's the support that you need. Because if you're not a mission-paced person, if you're not a purpose-led person, then something like this isn't going to work for you. But if you know deep in your heart that you're here on this mission, that you're here with a bigger purpose, then this is going to be your thing.
I feel like sitting here and speaking with you, everything that you do is very energy-led. What do you do to tap into your own intuition in order for it to speak loudly so you're feeling the right energies at the right time?
Yeah, one of the big things that I have to do a lot of is I have to retreat a lot. So I have to come back out of the world a lot. So I have to take myself into silence. I have to go a lot deeper with my own thoughts, with the stuff that's happening in me. So sometimes I will take myself away from crowded places.
Right.
I do love to be on my own a lot more because that's how I can listen to whatever it is that is coming to me to be able to support who I need to support. So, I come from a very big family. My immediate family is about 20 people.
Oh, wow.
With hubby side and my side.
Wow.
So getting alone time is near on impossible, but it's something that I have to make time for because that's what I have to do for myself so that I can serve the people that I want to serve.
Right. Listening to you, I feel like a lot of women will be like, wow, that sounds really amazing. And, you're retreating, you're doing your own thing. But you have that coming from an Asian background, that feeling of like, should I really be doing this? Should I not be doing the dishes instead? Should I not be doing the kids' homework or the 100 other things that I should be doing? How have you taught yourself that actually this is a must-have for me?
Wow, yeah. Do you know what? And I hope I'm not getting too deep on this one, but I really do think about the day I die. And do I want to be saying that I wish washed more dishes?
Yeah, exactly.
Do I wish I washed more clothes?
Yeah.
Do I wish that my kids had, more clean clothes, more fresh clothes, had better cooked meals?
Yeah.
They're not the things that I'm going to regret on my last day. And as a positive psychology coach as well, one of the interventions we use is your legacy. So what is that legacy that you want to leave behind? And the legacy I want to leave behind is not how many dishes I managed to wash in the 80 odd years that I was alive.
Of course.
It was actually what I'd done in that time.
Yeah.
So I always have to remind myself of that every time I sit down to cook a gourmet meal for my entire family when they come over. Like, do I really want to spend my time cooking that?
Yeah.
Or can I just order a pizza? Because frankly, that's what I will do.
Yeah. For you, you've done the work. You've done the work on yourself. You've taken the time out, and whatever that's entailed, going to being part of different retreats or whatever it was that's led you to where you are right now. But there may be women out there that are at the start of their journey. How can they get started to break away from those stigmas, that guilty feeling that almost they're being selfish for taking the time out to really get to know who they are and align themselves with their purpose? How do they start, girl?
Do you know what? It just takes one step. It only takes one step, and you don't have to, the first step doesn't have to be go away for a week. That doesn't have to be the first step. That was probably my 99th step. And first step could be just maybe leaving the dishes and resting. And maybe not doing the washing and resting, maybe getting a cleaner in for an hour to support you with stuff. It might be getting a takeaway instead of sitting down for 3 hours and cooking a full-on meal. It's those little things that add up to be the big stuff. And little things done over a period of time will give you lots of time back.
Yeah.
So one of the things is I do have a cleaner. Yeah. So that saves me about 5 hours a week.
Okay.
5 hours a week over a month, it's about 20 hours. I get 20 hours back in a month. So it's those little things that you can do on a daily basis that you don't have to do. And half the pressure on us is ourselves. We put our own pressure on us. You know, when I first got married, I always felt I had to make my in-laws roti every time. Dal roti, you know, all this stuff. And I used to slave away for hours and hours and hours. And it was one day I just said, Mum, Dad, can we order a pizza? And they were like, thank God you said that, because we're fed up of roti. And sometimes it's the pressure we put on ourselves.
Why do we do that?
I know.
Why?
No one asks us. We do it ourselves. And actually, who would say no to pizza?
Yeah, exactly.
Or a takeaway, or, you know, whatever it is. So sometimes it's pressure we put on ourselves, and it's identifying what is that pressure that you're putting on yourself and where can you just release.
Does it boil down a little bit to conditioning?
A lot of it, yeah. A lot of it is conditioned.
How do we work on ourselves to get better at that?
One of the things that I had to do was I've got a little girl, and I knew that I could either carry on a cycle or I could stop it. So either I could carry on that conditioning or I could stop that conditioning with me. And I decided I wanted it to stop with me. I saw it happen with my grandmother, my mother, my sister, myself. And I'm like, there's another generation being born now. Do I want it to carry on with her and her daughter and, you know, so on? And for me, that was my driver to stop that happening.
So what changes have you implemented to ensure that you're not kind of doing the same things that previous generations have done? Like, what's different in your home?
So my daughter sits and watches TV all evening.
Okay.
She doesn't have to get up to do absolutely anything like we did. I don't know about you guys, but when my parents came home, if we were sat there doing nothing, we'd have to jump up
definitely.
and feel like we were doing something. She doesn't have to do that. But neither does my son. Neither of them have to do that. Yeah. And, you know, little things like I realised that I was getting her to do stuff. Like, can you go and serve the drinks? Can you serve the tea?
Really?
And I had to catch myself because that's what happened to us.
Yeah.
And we carried that through life, that we had to be these subservient robots that done everything. And I was like, actually, no, she doesn't have to. And even when wider family were asking her to do stuff, I was like, no, don't ask her to do it. Yeah. She's not doing it. Yeah. And so just little things that you have to be aware of what you're doing. That is the conditioning. I was actually not getting her to, and actually listening to her. So every time she said to me, oh, why are you making me do it and you're not making Baji do it? I'll be like, you're so right. Baji, you get up and do this. So it's just making those little changes and just being aware of what's actually going on.
Yeah. How do you... how is it when you're implementing those changes and ensuring that you're kind of putting her needs first, but then you're also dealing with family that's maybe not quite there yet? Has there been any struggles, like maybe with older generations, grandparents, in-laws, whatever, where they're saying, okay, why isn't she helping when we have guests over serving the tea? And then you're going to have to step up for her. Has any situations like that arisen?
Yeah, do you know what? It has a lot. And I think I've got to be blessed that I've got a really forward-thinking family, my own family and my in-laws' family, that they're so open to these kind of conversations. And they don't do it maliciously. People do it without realising that they're doing it. It's never malicious. So if you actually just sit down and have an open conversation, they'll be like, oh, okay, yeah, we didn't realise we were doing that because we were also conditioned to do things in a certain way. So even though, you know, things were happening, just talking about it stopped them happening.
And I think that's the key. It's the communication.
Talking about it.
And I think that's the massive difference between, I don't ever remember me sitting with my parents and having open dialogues all the time. Yeah. In comparison to how I sit with my boys. Like, my boys are super young, but we still talk about everything and anything. And I think that is the key. Are you having these open conversations with your sons and your daughters? And can you see the comparison to how you grew up?
Completely. Like, we're so much more open. We have so many conversations, and it's because we're conscious. We're more conscious as parents now than our parents were. Like, bless them, they could only do what they could do with all the struggles that they had. And because we don't have as many struggles they had, ours are different. Yeah, we've got more time to be more open and aware, and just more conscious of what we're saying around the kids, what we're doing around the kids. And I've got to say as well, a lot of it did stem from the men in my family. So as soon as the men started to step up and do things differently, that automatically trickles down.
And give us some examples of that. What did they do differently that you could say was a real benefit for your daughter and the way in which you're parenting at the moment?
So my husband is a full-on dad, full-on. So my kids saw him carrying the nappy bags. They saw him changing nappies. They saw him feeding the kids. They saw him getting up at night with the kids. Actually, they probably saw him do it more than me. So for them, that was just normal.
Yeah.
So now when it came to my son looking after my daughter, it was just very normal for him to do. He'd be like, yeah, I'll go and get her some food. I'll go and do this.
Yeah.
They see him, loading the dishwasher. They see him putting clothes in the machine, the normal things.
Yeah.
And they automatically do it. It's not even a thing in the house.
Yeah.
And, around fairness as well, if they see me doing too much, they'll be like, Dad, don't you think Mum's been like standing in the kitchen too long?
Really?
I'll be like, yes, she has. She's going to come and sit down. So I think a lot of it starts with them just seeing what other people are doing.
Yeah.
And hopefully today's day and age, men are just a little bit more equal than they probably were in our parents' generation.
It's amazing, actually, how much we don't realise our kids are watching.
Watching
Everything. Like, I went through this time where, like most of us, when we've just had kids, we've got a mummy pouch, we're not feeling so confident, stretch marks galore. And I stood in front of the mirror and I'm just hounding myself and I'm speaking about myself in the most disgusting way and not realizing that my 4-year-old is watching me. Go on 6 months later, I'm busy doing my makeup or something and I can hear him in the mirror. I don't look good in this. This doesn't look good. And that's when this light bulb moment went off. Like, they're watching. They're watching everything that we're doing.
Everything we're doing, everything we're saying, everything we're eating.
Yes.
Like, literally, they're going to mirror absolutely everything.
Yes. Do you feel like your quantum coaching helps with personal and professional life?
Definitely. It really helps me know that my kids are here for a purpose as well. And actually, even though I keep calling them my kids, in our quantum world, they're not actually our kids. They're just born through us, but they're not ours.
Yeah.
And we're just here as guides for them.
Right.
So I'm really conscious when it comes to things like discipline or
Yeah.
telling them what to do, that actually my job isn't to tell them what to do. My job is to create that safe space for them and guide them in finding out what it is that they're here to do, because they're on their own journey.
That's super interesting, because in our culture, we have this thing where we own our kids. We're so possessive over them. Their mistakes are our mistakes. Their triumphs are ours. We're so attached to them. Quantum coaching is saying something totally different. How are you able to pull that apart for yourself?
It's quite easy, actually, because some of the principles of quantum coaching is very similar to Sikhi teachings. So similar. And actually, in our religion, in Sikhi, everything isn't ours. It's all tera. Sab kuch tera, right?
Yes.
So actually, that was a principle that I had first, even before the quantum coaching. And that just kind of confirmed that, that is what it is. So even with the kids, they're not our kids. They are our Rab's kids, right? They're God's kids. And so it was really easy for me to understand that. But then if I try and explain it to someone else, and probably anyone listening to this, they could be like, what is she going on about? Yeah. But it is a hard concept to understand. But just to know that I grew up with it, where I had to be a doctor or a lawyer or an accountant or, whatever other list of suitable jobs were for Punjabi people. And I was just like, I'm not going to have that for my kids. Like, they can be footballers and, singers or, pop stars, whatever they want to be.
Yeah, whatever feels good to them.
Yeah, talk show host.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
Why not? So when you're implementing this at home, because I'm trying to get some key tips here, girl.
I want to move in.
Exactly. I want to see, how can I use all of this, with my children? How old are your children now, if you don't mind?
So 8 and 6. So I've got an 8-year-old boy and a 6-year-old girl.
Okay, so similar to me. So with everything that you've learned with quantum coaching, what's some techniques that you're using at home to kind of implement that, to try to get the best out of them? Is there anything you're doing differently?
So the kids do a lot of meditation.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so they meditate. They even do some breath work.
Nice.
So we do a lot of breathing exercises with them. So even when I'm not there and they're going through a tricky situation, they can actually channel that anger or, you know, whatever it is in doing something. We talk a lot and we talk a lot about adult topics. So my dad sadly passed away a couple of years ago, and rather than ignore any conversations around it and try and hide it from them, we actually had really open and honest conversations about where my dad was now, what happened to his body, how he transitioned, and it opened up that dialogue for us to engage in these kind of conversations. So even now, I find that they're constantly wanting to talk about all of this, anything that doesn't make sense to them. They are so open to having a conversation about it. And it's understanding that for yourself and then giving the time and space to the kids to be able to understand and make sense of it themselves as well.
When you are giving them this time and space and they're opening up to you, has anything come out where you're like, "Ooh, I didn't know that. I didn't know you was feeling like that." Do you get surprised every so often?
Yeah, so they do come out with stuff, which takes me aback a bit as well. So there's a lot of stuff around death and dying.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, which is quite confusing for them. They don't really get what happens. There's a little bit of fear in them as well. Yeah. Because right now, while they're alive, they're safe and secure with their family. Right. So there is some conversation, some thoughts around what happens to them when they die. And if they die before me, if I die before them, what happens? So it does bring up a lot of serious conversations, which can be quite hard.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, sometimes we get quite, like, with me personally, I get quite submissive because I feel like, oh, they're still young. They're not thinking about this. But to actually, when we give them the space to talk and let them, you know, tell you their true feelings, they are thinking about these things. And how do you deal with that? How do you tackle these tough questions and conversations with them?
It's really hard because you always go back to what you've been told. So you go back to thinking, okay, what did my mum tell me when I said this? And I remember my parents just said, nothing's going to happen. Don't worry about it. Yeah. And that's not an answer.
And they just brush it under the carpet.
Yeah, and we were okay with that as an answer, but that's not an answer for the kids. Yeah. And so it is hard because you have to obviously tell them the truth. They are, you know, really intelligent beings, so they will see through you if you're trying to lie or if you're trying to fob them off. So you have to tell them an extent of the truth, but that sits right with them.
Yeah.
One of the hardest things I've had a conversation with is where my daughter was actually having a really bad day and she actually said she didn't want to be here anymore. And I don't think she understood what she meant by that either. But that was a conversation we had to navigate. That was feelings that we actually had to navigate, which weren't easy.
And when you navigated those, was she then able to kind of process what she had said and explain, actually, this is what I actually mean? Was she able to do that?
In a way, she was. But in a way, that is what she meant.
Yeah.
That she didn't want to be here.
Yeah.
But it was probably she didn't want to be here right now.
Yeah.
And experiencing this right now. She didn't want to not be here permanently.
Right.
And that understanding that for them, that, you know what, if you're not here, that means you're not here permanently. You can't just come back. And she goes, but can I take my toys with me? And it's like, no, you can't take your toys. Will you come with me, Mum? No, I won't come with you. You know, it's those kind of conversations. And then they're like, oh, right, okay, maybe I might just stick around a little bit longer then.
Self-confidence. Everyone struggles with some element of self-confidence. And for the ladies that are listening specifically, what are some techniques to boost self-confidence?
Do you know what? I've got to be honest with you. I don't actually know. Because
I was not wanting that answer.
I know. I'm really sorry. Not the answer you wanted. And the thing is, I find it really hard to teach confidence. I really do. I find it really hard because I don't know how actually, I do know how I'm confident. So I'm going to tell you how I get my confidence. And hopefully that will help anyone that's watching or listening to the show. So if you aren't confident and you don't even know where to begin to start with confidence, find some courage. So if you can't find confidence from anywhere, just find the courage to do what it is that you want to do. You probably weren't confident to start this when you started it, but you
100%.
found some courage from somewhere to think, do you know what, it's now or never.
Yeah.
I'm going to do it now. And that's how I do everything in my day. I'm actually, even though I might appear confident, what I actually am is courageous. And I just find that courage and that strength from somewhere to take the steps that I need to take. So I'm sorry I can't help with the confidence bit, but find some courage from somewhere.
I know for a lot of people, they have an alter ego. Like we all know Beyonce and Sasha Fierce. Do you have an alter ego where you say, I'm stepping into my shoes and now this is me. I'm someone else. I am elevating myself to my higher self.
I really do.
Really?
So my alter ego is actually Uma Thurman's character from Kill Bill.
Okay.
Black Mamba.
Wow.
So that's actually my business name, Black Mamba, because she is my alter ego now. I don't go around killing people, but I am this fierce mama who will just do whatever it takes to get to where, well, she will, Black Mamba will.
Yeah.
So where I might be a bit scared or lacking in confidence or lacking courage, I will literally, and I actually used to have a picture of her character in Kill Bill with a sword, with a bloody sword in my office when I first started my business, because that is the courage that I called on to do everything that I had to do.
I think those elements of visualizations really help. Really help. Putting key people that you resonate with, that you want to be like, you like elements of, and having, surrounding yourself, even like on my screensaver on my phone, I'll have women on there that really like, you know, make me feel powerful and strong. And I know, okay, I'm stepping into who I want to be. How does Black Mamba differ from Gurjinder?
She'll do all the things. She hasn't got the conditioning that I've got.
Yeah. Right?
She hasn't got all the conditioning I've got. She's just a kick-ass woman that would literally knock out every block that's in her way. Whereas I'm more logical. I would think about things 100 times before doing something. So wherever I have my limitations as Gurjinder, as Black Mamba, I'm truly limitless. Like even being paralyzed in a coma in hospital doesn't stop you from doing something, which is how, so I just drive so much, get so much confidence from her.
What are the key takeaways when someone wants to build up their self-belief? Is there anything people should be doing, implementing? Is there any techniques out there, even through quantum coaching, that people can apply to their everyday lives that are going to help them with that self-worth, self-belief?
Do you know, there's a little voice inside all of us that tells us we can do something. Yeah? Your talk show, voice saying, Sabrina, you got this, you can do this. Anchor into that. Plug into that. And always remember that voice, not the 100 other voices that are telling you no. Because we do have an ounce of belief in us that we are meant for more. We are meant for better. And we can do this. And that's what we anchor into. And you visualize and you operate from that space on a daily basis, multiple times a day. And really remember who you are. Because we forget ourselves. We lose ourselves in the world.
Tell me about it.
And you just need to remind yourself of who you are, of the most amazing, powerful woman that you actually are. And just remember that every single day.
100%. 100%. I agree so much. I feel like since I've been doing, like turning the light onto myself and learning about me and falling in love with me again, I used to be that type of person where I'd like, only want to do only go out for dinner if my husband was there, only go to cinema if my friends were there. Now I'm like, leave me alone. I love me time.
Do you know, I used to be the plus one.
Always.
I was always Gindy's wife, his plus one, his whatever. And now he's my plus one. And he's like, oh my God, what is this space?
How does that feel?
He loves it. He absolutely loves it. I love it. He loves it. And it's just us stepping into our own and us just owning our lives as individuals. As well as a partnership, as mums, as daughters, as whatever it is. We are our own person as well. And it's just really owning that. Really owning that.
And since you've made that transition, I'm sure your family, friends have seen something different in you. How have those relationships changed?
Do you know what? I think they all love it.
Oh, good.
I really think they love it. Like, my friends love it because they're almost getting the past me back again before marriage and kids. They're getting the old version of me.
Yeah.
So they really, really love it.
Yeah.
My in-laws love it because they're able to just have fun now. And we have a really fun dynamic in the house. And even with my family, like we all benefit. Right. And as soon as you start shifting and stepping into your own, the world around you just benefits from it.
100%. I totally agree. On the other hand, playing devil's advocate, you lose a lot of people along the way as well.
Yes, you do.
Why? What are they so threatened about?
Do you know what? I just don't know. And this is honestly a really good point because I've lost so many people. I've actually lost so many people. I have people that I can see watching me on social media, but would never comment on anything. They would never even cheer me on or any of that stuff. And that's one thing you've got to come to terms with. What are you willing to give up in order to have the life that you want?
Yeah.
And even though it's sad to have lost friends and whoever else I've lost along the way, they're all part of that journey.
Yeah.
And they were part of that journey for that time that they were in your life. And now it's the next part of that journey. And it's not having any bad feelings towards them or anything. It's just sending them lots of love. Send them lots of healing because they probably have lots of healing to do for themselves.
Yeah.
And just you living your truest self.
I read somewhere that people feel threatened, especially the ones closest to you, close friends or family, feel threatened or by the person that you've become because they can't handle that you've both come from the same walks of life, but your life has differed and they're still in the same position. And I think that's a little bit of fear that comes out. But one thing I've learned recently, that's a you problem.
Yeah.
That's a you problem.
Yeah, you go sort that out.
Yeah.
Don't put it on me.
No.
But, on the flip side, I've got to take ownership.
Sure.
For stuff as well. So, I wasn't around as much for some of my friends.
Yeah.
So they might have been going through stuff while I was trying to build a business. So, there's times where they might have needed me, but I was too busy and they could obviously see what I was doing on social media.
Yeah.
And they might have felt that, you didn't have time for us.
Yeah.
So it's about taking that ownership as well.
Yeah.
And understanding that, yes, you didn't have that time. You might have not had, resources or whatever. You were spread too thin and something had to give.
Yeah.
And I always believe that saying that if they wanted to, they would.
Yes.
Exactly like you. If you wanted to, you would as well.
Yeah.
So if you really wanted to make amends to people, if you really wanted to bring people back into your life, you would as well.
That level of accountability is beyond where you can actually say, I'm putting my hands up. I could have done better. That's another level. And I feel like for me personally, I've been kind of stepping into that. We're not perfect. We make mistakes.
Like, do you know what? This
real.
is a recent thing for me as well.
Yeah.
If you asked me the same question 2 years ago, I was like, yeah, bloody hell, she's not talking to me anymore. Little cow, what's she doing? But it's something that I've had to grow into as well. And it's that emotional, once you get that emotional intelligence and it's not you, it's not a personal thing against you. It's never against you. You can detach from whatever's going on.
That brings me nicely onto the topic of creating a sisterhood around business specifically. I know, I see you on Instagram, girl.
Cheerleading each other on.
You a cheerleader. You're pushing women to be the best versions of themselves. Why is having that level of support, that network, so important, specifically in business?
Do you know, for me personally, it's my personal mission. I am going to be your biggest cheerleader. In business, I'm going to be your biggest cheerleader. If you're doing something that is mission-led, purpose-led, I'm going to be there cheering you on. Like today, I was like, I'm coming to support you. I even done my hair for you.
I appreciate you.
I made such an effort for you. And I was like, I'm going to do this for you. And another reason being is business is lonely. It's so lonely.
It's so lonely.
I remember when I first started business 5 years ago, I started now. And before I was on social media, before I had this amazing social media family, I was on my own. And I used to sit in my little dabba of a box room that I used to call my office on my own, just staring at these four walls. And it could become a really depressing state.
Yeah.
And I realized how lonely business was for me. And I wasn't being invited into spaces. I wasn't being invited into communities and I wasn't doing all of that. And I could have sat there being poor me not being invited anywhere, and, you know, I'm just Billy no mate sitting here. I thought, you know what? No, I'm going to do that then. If I'm not getting invited anywhere, I'm going to create my own space and invite people into, a bit like the Lonely Hearts column. So if you're lonely in business, come join me. And that was really, really important to me. So now people in my space, when I see them working together, when I see them doing stuff together, my heart, I'm like the proud parent.
I can imagine.
That sees all of this stuff going on. And I think it's just so, so important. And, you know, especially culturally, as Asians, community is our thing. We thrive on community. And that shouldn't change just because we've got a business.
Of course.
And if our current community doesn't support us, or we feel secluded from them or excluded, whatever it is, there's another community out there that will welcome you in with open arms.
100%. There is always a community, a forum, a club out there that's going to kind of resonate more with
your people in it.
Exactly. You're going to vibe with them. And it's okay. Sometimes you kind of pick and choose, and it might not be the right thing, but you gave it a try, and you have to just keep it moving. What's it like for you when you see the women that you're working with thriving, like really thriving? How does that feel for you?
I absolutely love it. And I actually just got a message a couple of days ago from somebody, because she spent a whole evening with her kids without doing any work and not even feeling guilty about it. That to me is
good
success.
For her. Yes.
That is success to me. And that she got that balance, and she knew she didn't have to work every hour under the sun for her business. And honestly, I get so happy. I get so happy when I see not only women in business doing really well, but I see their kids flourishing. I see their families. I come and meet their partners, and I just see that happiness extend out into the wider community. Yeah. And in our quantum world, it's all about raising collective consciousness.
Yes.
So that ripple effect of that happiness and that amazing energy is what I'm all about, what I'm here for.
Yeah. I know I want to like kind of flip it up a little bit, but the notion of women supporting women, for me personally, it's really worked. But there's been times and conversations that I've had with ladies where they're like, it doesn't exist. It does not exist. How do you feel about that notion of women supporting women?
You just haven't found the right women. Yeah. If you feel it doesn't exist, you haven't found your women.
Yeah.
You haven't found your wing women. And that's all it is. And there's so many spaces out there. I grew up with all girls. So I've got a sister, and our family is girl heavy, and we are the best of friends. We are biggest cheerleaders. We've got our own WhatsApp group. We're constantly talking on it every single day.
Yeah.
So for me, I grew up with that.
Yeah.
So to come out into the wide world, women are my people.
Yeah.
Women are my thing, and I'll always gravitate towards women and women groups. So if you haven't got that, you just haven't found your people.
And women that are kind of doing this for the first time, and they're kind of maybe putting themselves out there, they may be attending one of your events for the very first time, what advice would you give them?
Be yourself. Do not try and be anyone else to conform into a space, because if it's not the right space for you, find out really early on so you don't waste any more time. So just be your true authentic self, and you will become a magnet yourself. Yeah. You will become a magnet, and you will attract the right people into your world. You and I know as well, being online buddies, that it happened organically. It's not something we forced. It would happen just naturally. And we've got to the stage now where this is probably the second time we've met in our entire lives.
Can you believe
doesn't feel like that?
Not at all. Like even when you walked in, I said, even though this is the second time that I've met you, I feel like I know you.
Yeah. Even with like your husband.
Yeah.
There was just that familiarity with it, with that knowing. And that's when you know they're your people.
Yeah.
So just be your truest self.
And I think it's important to say that don't get disheartened. Don't get disheartened. Don't take anything too personal. There's going to be people that love you for a minute. They're going to love you for, a month, a year. Or some people don't love you at all, and that's okay. Going on to online presence and going into the notion of caring what people think. You must, obviously being out there like myself, you're not always going to get great comments. Predominantly, yes. You're going to have people that be really positive. But how do you deal with the people that are not so positive?
First of all, block them.
Yeah.
Do not even let them follow you, because if you care about what they think, it's going to affect how you show up. So if they're not even there, if they're not in the equation about seeing you and doing whatever, then you don't have to worry about it. And secondly, you know, a lot of people are on socials for their business. So you're doing it for work. So there's no need to have your entire family tree following you on social media.
Exactly.
So feel you have permission to block people, unfollow people, allow people not to see what you're doing, because that's your work. Just like you don't follow other people to work, they don't need to follow you to work. So, and it does affect you. And if you know it affects you, it's more important to not have that in your space. And I have it a lot, because I don't actually block my family. They can see what's going on. And sometimes I do cringe if I've seen that my father-in-law's seen something or my mother-in-law's seen something, and I'm like, oh my God, what are the comments going to be? But do you know what? You've got to accept that that's your work. It's a different
version of you.
A different version of you. It's not the version they see at home. It's the version that is your business version.
And I think as women, we have to accept that we wear many hats. And we're not always going to have the same face for the different role that we play.
And it's all acceptable.
Exactly.
It's all acceptable. You don't have to be one thing or another. You get to be absolutely all things.
Yeah. I want to talk a little bit about retreating, because I see you, girl. You are flying here, there, and everywhere. Tell me about some of these retreats that you've gone to and what you've specifically got out of them.
So it depends. So some of them are business retreats. So I go for business support. I meet other business women, and some of them are personal.
Yeah.
So for inner work.
Yeah.
You know, the kind of meditative, the going inwards, a real soul-led kind of retreat. So it really depends on what I need.
Right.
And based on what I need, I would go to whatever is available at the time. They are pre-planned.
Yeah.
So I normally plan at least 6 to 8 months in advance where I'm going and what I'm doing, because obviously I've got kids and husband,
Of
families
course.
to navigate.
Yeah.
So all of that has to be prepared.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're so much fun.
They
So
just,
much fun.
I recently went on a retreat and I loved it. And I keep recommending to anyone that if you're able to, go on it.
Even if you're not able to, just do it.
Just try,
Just
make
do
it happen for yourself, because you
Yeah.
deserve it.
You really do.
Just to have that, more than anything, it was just to have a break for myself, to reconnect with myself and just be Sabrina, like not mummy, wife, businesswoman, entrepreneur, and all the rest, all the other hats that we wear. Just be me and connect with myself. And I get to choose what food I want to eat.
Yeah, you get to be silly. You get to do all the little things that you normally don't get to do when you're in mum mode
Exactly.
or wife mode or whatever it is.
Do you feel like many women in the similar age to us, they're struggling with kind of going back, retreating and finding themselves again?
And it's a scary path to go on, because once you find yourself again, you've just opened a can of worms, right? And that's where lots of other stuff comes up for you. So sometimes people don't do it out of fear, because they know what retreating is going to bring up for them. For me, who doesn't want uninterrupted sleep for like 12 hours or whatever it is? So, you know, I'd just go for that.
Yeah.
Who doesn't want hot food or a hot cup of tea that you can drink like fully without being interrupted? And I think for me, one of my most important things as well is I've got a daughter.
Yeah.
I want her to know it's okay to be able to leave whatever she has going on and go away.
Exactly.
Like, it's absolutely acceptable, even if you're a mum, even if you're a wife, even if you're a daughter, for you to be able to take yourself out of a situation and go and enjoy yourself.
100%. We have to lead by example, right?
Lead by example. But that doesn't, she's not going away until she's at least 30. But absolutely lead by example. And do you know what? They're more confident now. My kids are more confident going for sleepovers at their grandparents and going, you know, for weekends without us.
Yeah.
Like, there's so much more.
They can do it, girl.
It's normal.
We have to cut the cord.
Yeah.
Let them be.
Live our lives and let them live theirs.
Exactly. Gurjinder, it's been amazing having you on the Sabrina Show.
Thank you for inviting me.
I've learned so much. Now, at the end of each episode, I like to ask this particular question because it really resonates with the theme of the series. And the theme of the series is all about pursuing your passions at any age. So I want to ask you, Gurjinder, Are you pursuing your passions? Are you going for your dreams? If yes, what are they? If no, why not?
I am 100% pursuing my dreams. My dream is to live life on my terms and help other women do exactly the same as well. And I really feel I'm doing that. And through my business, I'm just supporting more and more women to live more and more on their own terms. So 100% living life on my terms, and I encourage everyone else to do the same.
Woo! I'm so excited. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. I've had a lovely conversation with you. I've taken away so much. I'm going to be implementing so much in regards to my own children. Thank you everyone so much for joining me on the Sabrina Show. I hope you have some takeaways from this conversation. And as always, love the life you live. And that's the end of this episode. I hope you've enjoyed it as much as I have. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. And remember to drop me a DM if you're interested in getting into the show. Instagram, _Sabrina Show. Hope to see you then.